In the shadows of the mind where secrets hide, we dive into the dark where truth collides.
Forensic minds unravel the twisted thread. True crime tales from the living and the dead.
Why did they do it? To help, for love, in anger or insane? Who will remember them? Who is to blame? The victims deserve justice. The guilty should be until the end of time. Echoes of the past in every crime.
From the profiler's chair to the courtroom fight, we seek the reasons in the dead of night.
Motives buried deep in hearts gone cold. Stories of the broken waiting to be told. Why did they do it? To help, for love, in anger or insane? Who will remember them? Who is to blame? The victims deserve justice. The guilty should be until the end of time. Join the quest. Uncover the line.
All right, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing very, very well. I am sure sorry about the disruption last night to the scheduled live. So I apologize for that. Let me get this introductory. Let me get that down and say hello to everybody. Hello. Yes, I'm back in the bed. This isn't the hook bed, but it is a very nice bed. But it is my home away from home. So I hope that you guys are all doing really, really well. Also, before I, excuse me, before I get started, I just want to say thank you for the gifts that some of you guys have given. I appreciate it so much. I got the notifications. You guys are way too generous. And so this is from Granny Jules and the twins. Thank you for the preemie diapers, the preemie clothing, everything. I can't thank you guys enough. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so we got that. So now, what we were going to talk about last night, but I, unexpectedly, I got pulled away and couldn't do the live like I wanted to. So here we are, and I don't want this little video. Okay, so you can see where there is the domestic violence hotline number that is rolling across the bottom. There's also a text that you can message. And if you just look online, domestic violence, that text number will call. Is it 211? I'm thinking it's maybe 211. So there is that. Okay, let me make sure this music is gone. And it is. Okay, good. All right, I got lots of pieces that I'm going to be putting up today. But I don't want this video playing, or this little GIF thing, to play over and over and over again. So let me take that off. How is everybody doing? You guys all doing well? There is so much to talk about. The things that are happening is crazy, right? There's so many things happening. There's things in the news. The Duggars, of course. Everybody's talking about Kendra and Joseph. But did you guys see the video of Michelle? Yeah, Mama Duggar. Did you see her come out with her camera, and she's running up the driveway, and she's screaming and yelling at some paparazzi? I was like, girl, you go on with your bad self. I did not know she could yell. I thought she was always be sweet, be pretty, be sweet. But apparently she found her passion. So there was a paparazzi that was in the driveway of the home, and the paparazzi was taking photographs of Kendra's children. Gross, right? Yeah, let's just follow up bad behavior with more bad behavior. But anyway, it's easy. She did put on her big girl pants, and she was a baddie. Good for her. Michelle, now that you found your voice, girl, use it. Get out there. Don't take any more mess from these men. You do what you got to do. Do the right thing. All right. So, hey, Hybrid, glad your son is doing great. Absolutely. Hey, Nancy, good to see you. And Cinnamon, hot. Everybody's here. Okay, so we're going to, of course, we have all heard, we all know about the allegations, what happened to Magnolia, and what happened to Magnolia, and it's awful. It is truly, truly awful. I wasn't one of those who jumped in immediately and said, well, I'm going to make commentary on what has taken place. It's not really the kind of thing that I really do. And, I thought I would stand back a little bit. Well, I was really disappointed in people. And it brought me all the way back to the Shanann Ruchek, Chris Watts nightmare. I was shocked by the number of people that were bullying Shanann. Now, she was dead, and all her children were dead at the hands of the husband. But that didn't stop creepazoids online from doing a lot of victim shaming. And unfortunately, Magnolia is getting a big taste of that. And that's when I decided to step in, because the issues with domestic violence, the murders that occur because of domestic violence, and the victim blaming, the victim shaming that goes on, where, look, I know some of you guys really, really like Bullhorn Betty. Okay, I know you do. And I'm not telling you who you should watch or like or anything like that. But here's what I heard. And frankly, it made me so nauseated that I just wasn't going to play it today on my channel. But I heard her say, what did Magnolia do to cause Jonathan Lee Riches to do this to her? Yeah. Shades of Shanann Watts all over again, right? Biddy, What in the hell do you mean? What did Magnolia do? You are suggesting, when you say such a foul thing, you are suggesting that there's any reason at all for anybody to ever get hit in the face over a disagreement. You know, as adults, Betty, we have the ability to voice our displeasure. We have the ability to come up with solutions or to set limits or at least to make some rules for how to live through our relationships that do not result in police reports, emergency rooms, or coroners, Betty. Now I get it. Okay, I know you're a girl, and I'm sure there was a little bit of, vindication. You felt vindicated that, Magnolia was knocked down from her throne as Queen Riches, correct? Like when he started messing around with Magnolia, your heart was broken, and this was one of those moments that you felt vindicated. Okay, I'm not going to even call question into being human. I'm good with that. What I'm not, though, going to just overlook and ignore, I'm not going to ignore the mistreatment of a child. And I am damn sure not going to ignore when another woman says, well, what did she do to make him break her nose, blacken her eyes, cause her to have reconstructive surgery? Shut up. You can sit over there on your channel with your loud ass mouth and your little bullhorn, and you can scream and yell about, you weren't there and neither was I, and we don't know. But you know what we have learned in the true crime community? We have learned pay attention to police reports, haven't we? We have learned that cops generally investigate. And Magnolia was able to secure not a temporary protective order, but a 3-year protective order. Somebody investigated, Betty. And frankly, I would think that you, as a true crime expert among all your talents, that you would be willing at least to believe a police report, and a judge who would be willing to sign off on a 3-year protective order. Okay? So you owe every single female on the planet an apology by asking the question, what did Magnolia do to cause her face to get crashed in? That was the wrong question, Betty. You know what the right question was? What the fuck is wrong with Jonathan Lee Richards to smash in a person's face? That's the right question. All right. Now then, so there is, so a lot of, there's a lot of excuses going around for JLR. It's a lot of excuses. And I get it. We like to watch his live coverage. This was a little bit chilling for me when the story first broke. It's a little bit chilling for me because I remember not long ago, even just maybe a few months ago, maybe 3 months ago or so, somebody came into the channel and began talking about how vile Jonathan Lee Richards is. And they kept going on and on. JLR is gross. You need to investigate. You need to see who he is. You need to see who else. My response was, I know about the whole Sandy Hook thing. I know about that. I know about him, the Guinness Book of World Records and all of the frivolous lawsuits. And I know about all that. And my response to that person was, I did look it up, and it definitely is shocking. And he also served 10 years in the federal penitentiary, along with some parole time, some probation time, and things like that. You would think somebody in the true crime community, you would acknowledge, okay, they served their time, they paid their dues to society, and now he's got a chance to do it right again, right? And I then followed up by saying that I didn't watch him for anything other than when he started covering the open border situation from Texas over to California, and that I had really enjoyed that coverage. That he of all the people that were down there on the border, I feel like he had done a really great job getting really good video, and it was a good watch. Okay. That's really all I've ever watched him. Watched him a little bit with the Nancy Guthrie thing, not much, but really it was mostly about the border. When this story broke about Magnolia, I was pretty horrified because I had just so recently spoken out like a big shot. Oh, well, he paid his dues, and I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And now, because of Gavin Fish is doing a superb job covering the story. Great job. There's so many people, Jules, Jules, Jules of Every Crime or something like that. Jules is a great cover. She had great commentary. Great. There's been a lot of people that have, even White Boy, he did a good job actually showing the actual documents when they really weren't all out yet. Plunder. So there's some amazing YouTube creators that are covering this, and we're not going to I'm not going to go back and just rehash. They've put it out there. We all know the story now. We've all seen the receipts. We know the truth, unless you are in denial. Unless you're like those hidden gems over there and you're just more enamored of your friend group and the comfort of watching JLR's coverage than you are of ethics and morality, I suppose. Okay. And I get that. We need our friend groups. We like to be in the company of things that feel familiar. I get that. I understand that. But nonetheless, it is very uncomfortable. Brittany J, I tried to support her, and then I heard the clip where she literally engaged in a conversation that included laughing about a little girl being sexually assaulted. And she did that only to hurt the mother, Cluminati. And that was my friend group over there. Those were the people that I was hanging out with when I wasn't on my channel. You know what I mean? And when I saw that and I heard that, I believed her when she said, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That's a lie. That's a lie. And then I heard the clip or saw the clip. And it didn't feel comfortable to call it out and say, this is so wrong. There's nothing redeemable in this. Little girl, horribly assaulted for one reason only, to hurt the mom, with no consideration for the fact that young girl was now a college student. That Brittany J did that. I heard it. I saw it, and I called it out, and I said, okay, well, I won't have any friends. So be it. That's how it is, because right is right. You know what I mean? Same thing with Shanann Watts. Right is right. She did nothing to cause her murder or the murders of all her children. Nothing. There's nothing she could do that would create that responsibility. And I stand by that same thing here today. Magnolia did nothing to cause that. There's one person that is responsible, and that is JLR. That's it. So then when we consider like what would make such a public figure, you got to think about this too. He's not hiding nobody. He previously was a big nobody when he was doing these frivolous lawsuits and breaking laws and just acting in generally antisocial types of activities, right? He wasn't very well known at all. So, but when you're walking around with, what is it, 500,000, doesn't he have like 500,000 subscribers or something? When you've got that many subscribers and you're sometimes going live for 8 hours a day with tens of thousands of viewers live watching, you're not a nobody anymore. People know you. People recognize. We even heard it. He was in the car and people were just coming up going, "Oh my God, are you JLR? Oh, it's so great to meet you." Like he's some kind of damn celebrity or something. It was wild. What would make him hurt someone so badly that they required recreated surgery? Like what would make you lose control to that level? Well, there's a lot of things it could be. And once the story broke, Magnolia did come out and, she's basically acknowledged that the documents that are out there are accurate. And one of her statements did show that this was not the first time. There's been at least a dozen times, in fact, according to Magnolia, that JLR choked her. So they already, they have a history, right? What is that history? Well, he got mad, something happened, he lost his temper, and he hurt her. And she forgave him and went back. What do you think happens to his little bit of self-control, if he even has any? What happens to it when she accepts it and goes back? Gets less, doesn't it? Because now he done. Well, I don't think I have to worry about this. I don't think she's going to do anything to me. I don't think she'll go to the police and file a police report. So he does it again and again and again and again. Allegedly, according to Magnolia, he's getting less and less restrained with each episode. He's embracing that anger. He's embracing that power, the giddiness that they feel. When they start battering, it feels good for them. It starts out as anger, and then when they start pummeling and cussing and talking big and shoving you around, they're empowered. It rises up inside of them. They've explained to me that it rises up inside of them and they feel strong. And what happens when you feel strong? You hit harder. You hit more. Maybe you hit in areas that won't be hidden by clothing. And then finally, you end up with a Shanann or a Suzanne Morphew. So Magnolia finding the courage to get away from him this time and stay away is, girl, you saved your life, because every time you went back, you were emboldening JLR, allegedly. Every time he would do something and you would forgive him, he was feeling stronger, more invincible, more powerful, and therefore the punches got harder and the choking got longer and deeper every time. So the anger that comes from these domestic batterers, is it planned? Like, do they know that they're going to use violence and fear to control you? Or is it something like a disorder, right? If there's something like a disorder, a mental problem, that they black out and they lose control of their anger. It gets away from them and they become a batterer. Well, there's a lot of circumstances for how it can happen. I have had people that were in prison who explained that they would have these outbursts, and when it would hit, everything would just sort of go black. They would just be filled with rage and everything would go black, and then they would act out, and then they would kind of like start noticing again or kind of come to and be in shock that their wife or their child was sitting there bloodied and bruised. Like they wouldn't actually remember doing it, but they would know they did it because the evidence was there, right? Hands would hurt or be cut or whatever. So that is a disorder. It's called intermittent explosive anger disorder. It's in the DSM. It's a mental health condition. There are when you have one of the episodes, it's just like bam, like it hits them like they're normal, and something happens that sets them off, and then their brain chemistry just boom, it just changes so fast. It's so sudden, and they just demonstrate highly impulsive rage. Highly impulsive rage. Okay. So with intermittent explosive anger disorder, there is that just impulsive aggression. The anger is not like, oh, I'm so mad. The anger is rageful. It's the kind of rage that makes people clear the room and say, no, this is weird. This is not normal. Never have I seen anyone this angry, and I ain't sticking around for the results. I've even seen it happen in hospitals where there would be like a little kid, and the little kid who's in the hospital, who's sick, and he would just freak out, and the nurses, the kids' parents, everybody out in the hallway. They just empty the room because the rage is so visceral. It's so animalistic, right? And it's very, very frightening. When these kids, when it goes through the process, it doesn't last long. It might last 15 minutes, rarely more than 30 minutes. Rarely. It's exhausting. When the episode ends, the little kid usually is like sobbing, right? They're burnout. Every ounce of energy in them is gone. And as I go through and I talk and describe this condition, I'm reminded about Barry Morphew. I'm reminded about that man that ran for mayor of Indianapolis, who did the interview with Gray Hughes. And he said that when he had his big showdown with Barry on a work site, it's on a construction site, he had a big showdown, and that Barry was so filled with rage that he was just like throwing dirt and like shrubs and sobbing, crying. And that the guy that was being interviewed by Gray Hughes, that he just stood back and watched in disbelief as Barry just slowed down and just sobbing and crying. And that's what you see with the little kids that have intermittent explosive anger disorder. When it burns itself out, they're just sobbing, they're apologizing, they're crying. Many of them say they don't remember what they did in their rage. And so there is a lot of remorse after this very violent, dangerous, destructive outburst that ends with the person sobbing and weeping and remorseful, right? So it's when you see it, it's humbling. It's humbling even if it's a 6 or 9, 10-year-old kid. It's humbling. I cannot imagine what it would be like to see it in a human being that was a grown man. I must be terrifying. So I don't guess we need to talk about like the diagnostics of it or anything, but I think the thing for the purposes of this discussion, the thing that is really most important is to really embrace that it happens like instant. It's just like, bam, it's like an instinct or something. It just is sudden. It's impulsive. They're out of control. It's the most intense rage. And then when it ends, and it ends pretty fast, when it ends, then there's crying and remorse, just apologies and big remorse. These high intensity outbursts 3, 4, 5 times a year would be enough for a diagnosis. But in other situations, maybe they demonstrate the same type of outburst, but it would be more related to alcohol or some kind of drug, or just stress that has built up and the person can't manage those emotions. But you get it about 3 times a year, couple of times in 3-4 months about, then they're going to get that. They're going to get that diagnosis and probably be heavily encouraged to get medication, to get pharmaceutical treatments, because intermittent explosive anger disorder is what kills people. That's how people die. That's how little kids get abused in their own homes. Parents are not just evil creatures, but they get overwhelmed and then they act out. And then after it's over, then they're horrified by what's happened. Okay. So I just want to kind of lay the groundwork for things that could be going on. So maybe we're looking at, intermittent explosive anger, the verbal aggression. These are the people that are like big talkers too, right? They're like, I'm going to kick your blah, 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 blah. Okay. So really, really over the top verbal aggressions, shoving, punching, slamming doors. Look, they're slamming doors because you're physically filled with so much energy, AKA anger. You're filled with so much energy that you do anything to sort of get that out. But then what about in the case of, let's say, a psychopath? Because psychopaths who use intimidation and fear to control their victims, they love to slam doors. Remember Johnny Depp? You remember Johnny Depp slamming the cabinet doors? Well, Amber Heard's psychologist went on the stand and said that was abuse, that was domestic violence when he was beating up his own cabinets. And everybody made a joke about that and kind of laughed about it. But it is used as coercive control. It is used, those or to get like a glass and throw it across the room and have it break. It creates fear. So your victims, the people you're trying to control, they just sort of freeze up and they're like, okay, whatever you want, just don't get mad. Don't get mad. Everything's okay. Tell me what you need. I'm happy to help you. Okay. So sure, there could be slamming doors and lots of broken things with intermittent explosive anger problems. But we also see the same thing with psychopaths that are using coercive control, fear, and intimidation to control their people. One is within their control. It's premeditated. They're planning to do it. Remember when Barry Morphew had Suzanne backed up in the closet and held the gun to his own head? That man never intended to harm himself. That was 100% telling Suzanne she better get herself in order or really bad things were going to happen to her. All right. She was also afraid of how he might respond to her youngest daughter, which is the reason I think probably that she let her go live with her boyfriend's family. Just a guess, allegedly. All right. So, with the not domestic violence, sorry, with psychopathy or a psychopathic type person, remember their primary motivation is just to get their needs met. And there's lots of psychopaths out there who never kill, they never hurt another person. When we talk about any psychopathy, we're talking about someone who does not respond to corrective emotion. And when I say corrective emotion, I mean like unpleasant emotions like sadness, fear, guilt, remorse. They don't feel them, they don't feel it, so they don't respond to it. They don't care, right? They just figure out somewhere along the way, I can be frightening and people will do what I tell them to do. Make sense? So then they use it as a tool that they have. And I'm not, again, this isn't about diagnoses. You guys are not psychologists looking to learn to diagnose, but if you start reading about this, you're going to see a lot of like discussion about superficial charm, glibness. Does the shoe fit? Does the shoe fit? There's a big difference between what was described by Barry Morphew or about Barry Morphew, where he attacked people and even was like throwing dirt and stuff. It was craziness. It's a grown man and he was out of control. And that altercation ended in him sobbing, compared to someone who says, hey, when there is a tragedy, when there's a big story in the news, I instantly go over to Facebook and make a Facebook group. And then I put out all kinds of disinformation. I upload it to BitChute so that other news organizations will pick it up. And then I benefit because I get the views and stuff from it. He's acknowledging that he's doing this. He pretended to be Adam Lanza's uncle. And wait a minute, it wasn't just at the spur of the moment, ha ha ha. The son of a bitch dressed up and did interviews as a school shooter's uncle. You want to know what he actually did? The news were there and he was like filming and looking at like where all the flowers, the memorials and stuff were. This is for all these dead children. Where all the flowers, the memorials and everything had been set up. It was enormous. It was huge. He's there filming, doing his thing. And he begins to notice that somehow people have said, oh my God, that's Adam Lanza's uncle. That's Adam Lanza's uncle. Oh my God. And so they're all standing back away from him. And they're not like coming up around the flowers or anything. They're taking photographs of him. And he said he was hearing the cameras. He could hear the clicking. He could hear the videos. At that point, the son of a bitch dropped to his knees and began praying for the cameras. Does that sound like one Barry Lee, Bruce Lee, Morphew breaking down, throwing dirt clods, and then sobbing at the end of his outburst? Does it sound glib, callous, pathological? Magnolia, I think you saved your life by getting away and staying away. Staying away. There's a history with JLR where he has had other people, his wife, who made an outcry of abuse. There have been multiple women that he has subjected to this behavior. And does he end with sobbing and crying and apologizing? No, he steals their phone and runs off in the middle of the night, leaving them there potentially to die. I'm not being melodramatic, not by a long shot. She was so badly broken that they had to do reconstructive surgery on the bone so that she could breathe. That means she was in danger of having like a bone shard to be pushed up into her brain. Does anybody care? Do you care? Nope. His subscribers are running around the internet asking, what did Magnolia do to make him do that to her? I mean, are you suggesting that Magnolia said, oh gosh, JLR, I've been bad. I'm a baddie. I've been a bad girl. I need some correction. Sticking with the Duggars theme. I need some correction, JLR. Go ahead and break my face. Go ahead and crush my orbital bones so that I can't see ever again. Go ahead. That will help me be a better woman and a better mate to you. If you'll just smush my face in, that'd be great. Is that what you're suggesting, Bullhorn Betty? Because that's the most ludicrous bullshit I've ever heard in my life, ever. Now then, there's a little clip here that I want to share with you guys. So let me load it up. Hold on just a minute. Oh, I know, Diane. Now I know why 3 or 4 weeks ago, somebody came into our chat and was saying, do your research, don't trust JLR, blah, blah, blah. And I just dismissed it. I said, look, he served his time. 10 years in a federal penitentiary, multiple probations. You know, maybe he's doing good now. Maybe he's on the straight and narrow. And who am I to call that out, right? When I actually started looking at the history, I was nauseated. And I kept getting visions of Barry or Chris Watts. Magnolia, you saved your life, girl. I cannot tell you, you saved your own life. You get out and you stay out no matter what. There are not enough millions of dollars in the world, ladies, to live with someone banging your face in. I don't care how rich they are. I don't care how much money there is. I don't care. Once they call you a bitch, once they slap you, once they push you down, it's done. Every time you go back and forgive him, he is going to be more emboldened, more powerful, and he's going to like it more and more and more. And each time he feels strong, each time he gets that big jab of dopamine, he's going to hit harder and he's going to squeeze longer. You can't keep going back. They will kill you. Now then, it is true. I want to get my research paper up here. Okay. I don't have to say allegedly when I say every time you go back, you are closer to death. That when they hit you and you forgive them, they hit harder and they squeeze longer. That is a fact that has been borne out by good research published in peer-reviewed journals. There was a 2008 study that was published. The authors were Nancy Glass, and that particular huge study, one of the most widely referenced or resourced publications that we have on domestic violence. Nancy Glass and her colleagues found that women who experience a non-fatal strangulation, Magnolia, a non-fatal strangulation by an intimate partner were at 7 to 10 times higher odds of disastrous outcomes, death, brain injury, hypoxia. Horrible. Okay. There's another study that was done by the Training Institute on Strangulation Prevention. And if you want to know more detail about specifically strangulation and what it does to the body, I would invite you to go over to Gavin Fish. He had an expert. He did an interview with an expert that really covered a lot of the research, or not the research, but he described a lot of the physical problems with strangulation. Remember when Chris Watts, when he finally decided to start telling a little bit of truth, remember how he said that he choked the girls, he thought they were dead, but then they came back into the room and he was really shaken up by that. And that they seemed like something was wrong with them. They weren't acting like they could think clearly, like they were normal. Gavin Fish is the name of the channel. Okay. And don't leave me yet. Stay with me until we get through, please. But then please, next video you watch, please go and watch this. You'll understand why some of these statistics are so shocking. Okay. He really explains the damage that happens to the body and all the different things that can go wrong. Remember Floyd, what was his name? George Floyd? Is that right? George Floyd? He kept saying, I can't breathe. Remember? And the cops just ignored him because they said, well, if he's talking, he can clearly breathe, right? You can't talk if the air is not moving over your vocal cords. However, if you're only getting the tiniest little bit of air, you can still develop hypoxia in a way that's catastrophic, and it won't return. You could actually suffer severe brain damage, even though you think you're breathing. This is another way that you have like the dry drownings. You get a lot of water in the bottom of the lungs, and so you're not moving enough oxygen in and out of the lungs. So it could take hours, but then you finally, succumb to hypoxia. But so the Training Institute on Strangulation Prevention, they, of course, that's all they do. They're like a think tank, and they do tons of this type of research. And their statistics show that victims of non-fatal strangulation, like what we've heard about, are 750% more likely to be killed by that same partner at a later time. Are you scared yet? Magnolia, honey, 750%. That type of statistic is considered a certainty, number one. And it's a statement that says, if you've had a non-fatal strangulation and you stay with that partner, it's not a question of if you will die, It's a question of when you will die. According to good research published in medical journals, all expert peer-reviewed journals, this is a certainty. Like when you are a law enforcement person, or a psychologist or a therapist, and you hear that there has been an intimate partner who is strangling you, we know right then it becomes, what is making you stay? What can I do that will support you in getting out to a safe location? This is not a relationship that can continue. It's not going to be able to continue without disastrous results. Again, I want to be very clear here. I'm talking about strangulation, okay? Because there are cases of intermittent explosive anger where people get treatment, they get pharmaceutical treatment, they get a good psychologist, someone who understands what's happening neurologically that's creating this anger. And then you have to work really, really hard to develop alternate behaviors to keep yourself and your partner safe from being injured, or your children from being injured. And all those things work. We know how to do it if the person is actively engaging in their treatment plan, right? And look, they don't like the way it feels. These people that have intermittent explosive anger problems, they don't like it. It feels like shit. They feel horrible. They don't want it. So these people, very often, they have come into treatment as a matter of court order. A judge has said, you have to go and get this treatment before we'll even consider parole or other things. So they want it. So a lot of them work really, really hard. They stay compliant with their medications. They do a really good job. But these people that are enjoying the chaos that they're creating, these people that have no corrective emotion, they don't feel guilty, they don't feel remorse, Magnolia, they don't feel love. They don't. They're like lions on the savannah. They want water, so they drink. They want food, so they eat. They want sex, so they have sex. And that's it. There's no other motivation happening. It's all old brain, animal brain type of instinct, right? So if you are the unfortunate soul that this person decides to take an interest in, then you're in danger, because they know that they can use coercive control. They can create fear. And part of that is hurting you, and then love bombing you and sending you roses and saying, I don't know why I did that to you. I'm never going to do it again if you'll just not put so much pressure on me, honey. Now, according to the police report, the thing that prompted this fight that resulted in the facial injuries, it had to do with pictures, videos that could be characterized as porn. I don't know the extent of that. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he filmed himself having sex with someone and it was an actual video. I don't know if it was just, naked photographs that was sent between him and other people. I don't even want to know. I don't want to envision it. I know all I need to know to say to myself, I think this would not be wise to spend time with this person. I would be a little nervous about that, given the police report, given the receipts, and now all of the information that's coming out about the wife. There's a long history of this behavior. It's not simply Magnolia. Bullhorn Betty, Are you going to do that? Are you going to put out to the world, okay, what in the world did Mrs. JLR do to cause him to assault her? To lie about her that resulted in her being basically 51-50'd when there was no evidence of what he said. He just lied. Allegedly, if you're going to believe the police reports, right? So according to the experts who study domestic violence, strangulation is the strongest predictor. Sorry, I got to check this note. Strangulation. Strangulation is the strongest predictor of future lethality in relationships. Let me say that again, okay? According to the experts, the think tanks, think tanks are just a group of people with PhDs or MDs or JDs that sit around and they just think up problems all day long, and then they do research to see were we right about our hypothesis or not. That's all they do. They're just exploring and investigating all the time, right? So when you have a think tank and all they do is to study strangulation in relationships, strangulation of the body, how it damages the body, how it affects the body. That's all they do. And they come out and they tell you, you have a 750%, 7.5 times, 750% increase of dying from this person who strangled you at some future time. Oh, and for those of you that like to play around with the whole provocative, sexually motivated strangling, those are exactly the same statistics. There's no nice strangling. There's no nice attempted murder. It's not real. If you think you're engaging in a sexy little kink, you are not. It's no different than an unfinished snuff film. So if your boyfriend or your husband or your live-in creep, if they want to strangle you, please leave. Save your life, please. So, so the strangulation is one of the strongest predictors of future lethality in the relationship. It is called by the FBI agents, people that are educated on this particular area of research. They call it practice homicide. Oh, is that fun? That's so cute. It's so sexy. Oh, honey, let's practice a little homicide tonight, shall we? Another researcher that I know calls it a warning shot. That if you're with a guy and he says, hey, I heard about this cool sex game that we can do right before you finish, I'm going to strangle you, and it's going to be the strongest, orgasm you've ever had in your life. That is a warning shot. That is coercive control. That person is not anticipating that you're going to get a sexual charge. They know damn well that's going to scare the shit out of you. It's a warning shot, according to the police in Houston, Texas. All right. This is the ultimate control, to have a hand on your neck, cutting off that life-giving air, oxygen. It is extreme control. Also, death will occur in minutes. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, oh, well, you need to hold it. You need to be there so many minutes, blah, 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 blah. If your fingertips are in just the right place, you will be unconscious within 3 seconds. Boom, 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 out. And if that person continues to push So much, according to Dolly Vision, which you all just love. Dolly's the bomb, isn't he? He said that he choked a woman so much, so hard, so long that he could feel his fingertips touching in her skin. You know what, Dolly, you're really, really lucky not to be in the federal penitentiary for life or the electric chair in Texas. Now, much of the discussion on these things is people encouraging women to leave, encouraging women to get out and save their lives, that there is no hope of him changing. He's not going to change. If he's doing these things to you, if he gets mad because you found some dirty pictures on his phone and that deserves broken face, he's not going to change. According to published research in peer-reviewed journals. You don't have to listen to me. I didn't do the research. I'm just directing you where to go to find it and read good information. If you're sticking around thinking, oh, well, he gave me roses yesterday, he gave me good sex last night, I think this time will be the time he changes. No, it just means that this time when he hits you, it's going to be worse. When he chokes you, it's going to be even worse. You could die from hypoxia. This research that I've given you today is actually used in FBI policy, police training, state police training for law enforcement, prosecutors. The near fatal or non-fatal strangulation is, well, it's a near miss. It's a practice homicide. And it's not a question of will you die? It's a question of when will you die? Now, if you are, if you've got a pen and paper or whatever, some of the organizations that put out this research, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, Family Justice Centers, and you could look for your state task force on domestic violence specific to strangulation. And Gavin Fish has an expert, one of these experts, on his show that I don't remember if it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I think it was his show last night is what it was. All right. Now then. I want to play this little video here. And I got to get my face off the screen. Okay, now I can put up the video. Thank you, Cinnamon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to play this because I've described the intermittent explosive anger situation, and it's so weird to watch it happen, and it's so recognizable because it is so unique and unusual. But I wanted to show you a psychopath. I wanted to show you how they communicate as opposed to someone who ends their violence with sobbing and apologies and deep remorse, only to have it happen again 2, 3, 4 months down the road. Okay. This is a psychopath.
And then my friends was that my dad lived in Dallas, and I went to see him. I mean,
I'm going to start it over because it took a minute for me to get it to work. All right, here we go.
What was your childhood like?
It's Far as I really remember, wonderful. I remember playing with Barbies, and my dad came to Baton Rouge and built me a Barbie house, and it was wonderful. And I mean, the only difference between me and any of my friends was that my dad lived in Dallas and I went to see him. I mean, everything was very well hidden from me. I don't even know how I found out that he was abusive to my mom.
The judge said to me, I've been a judge for 20 years. I've seen everything. I've done many, many criminal trials. I've seen many criminal people in and out of my courtroom. But I want to tell you that you need to tell.
So normal looking, right? He's a really handsome guy. He's a really good looking guy. She's smart, beautiful. The children are just adorable. The housing looks really nice and well kept. Just, you're going to be shocked when you see a real psychopath.
Take this very seriously because this man is a sociopath and you need to be afraid for your life from him because he could very well next time be before me and you won't be here to tell your story.
Oh, when I attacked Michelle, I wouldn't really call it attack.
He wouldn't really call it an attack, you guys. I think he and Bullhorn Betty ought to start doing like a little pen pal thing. I think this guy is right up her alley. Magnolia, what did you do to make JLR bash your face in? Maybe this is your kind of guy, Betty.
Up to her when she was walking down the sidewalk, and I said, "You're going to have to learn this lesson." And I just held her by the shoulder and I popped her in the head twice. And she moved her head the wrong way, and I snapped her nose.
The first blow.
Did you catch that? She moved her head the wrong way. See, Betty? That's what I mean. This could be your kind of guy. He's acknowledging it wasn't his fault. This woman right here, Michelle, she would never have had a broken nose if she had just not moved her head the wrong way. It wasn't his fault. He was just, giving her a little correction, Betty. That's all. She just needed a little correction. She's the one that caused the broken nose, Betty. She moved her face the wrong way.
Betty hit me, was in my eye. And it was like I felt my eye hit the back of my head.
Wow, Betty. That really must have been a hell of a move, huh? For her to break all of her fingers, her nose, her eyes bleeding because she turned her head the wrong way. Betty, you know what you need to do? And I'm not in the business of telling people what to do, but here's my thing. You need to go on your platform and apologize for that disgusting comment that you make. Magnolia, nothing she did caused what happened to her. And we've seen her pictures. We've seen the black eye, the broken nose. The police officer said clearly her nose was broken. This woman was battered. The police officer. So you might want to ask yourself why this lady has broken fingers if all she did was turn her head the wrong way. And that's what really broke her nose. He didn't break it. She's to blame.
And come forward. But then he hit my nose, which broke my nose.
Exactly where Magnolia's is broken.
And she fell down and I just walked away. She said I struck her about 20 times, but she was unconscious before she hit the ground.
Glib. He's talking big. He likes it. What do you mean 20 times? I didn't eat 20 times, you idiot. I hit you twice. You're unconscious before you hit the ground. I'm a man.
bone punched through right here.
And she fell down, and I just walked away. She said I struck her about 20 times, but she was unconscious before she hit the ground.
Glib.
And then my jaw, which dislocated my jaw. And then I had a big bruise here. And as I fell, he just kept hitting. And once I hit the ground, then he just started kicking.
Well, the fact that she got me put in prison, she knows that
what the hell is he laughing about? The man is in jail. He's in prison for life, right? He's an animal. He's a monster. He's laughing about the very act that he committed that put him there. That's psychopath. They don't have any limits. Nothing is egregious. There is nothing that is just too gross to do. They're willing to do anything to get them what they want. And so if what they want is attention, they don't see anything wrong with dressing up as Adam Lanza's uncle and kneeling in front of the memorial and sobbing. Because there's cameras there, don't you know? There's going to be cameras and video of this, and he's going to, get some screen time because of it. But all of you guys over there on his channel talking about what a great guy he is and how Magnolia made up the whole thing. You guys go ahead and stick around. Maybe you'll get lucky and he'll pick you for the next girl. I wouldn't advise it. He may have a lot of money. You may get excited about being with a millionaire. It's going to be kind of short, but it's your choice.
Bullshit she pulled, the only way to keep from sending her front teeth flying out her asshole is to have me behind this glass.
Glib.
Started here, and as I fell, he just kept hitting. And once I hit the ground,
no corrective
he
emotion.
started kicking.
Well, the fact that she got me put in prison, she knows that the bullshit she pulled, the only way to keep from sending her front teeth flying out her asshole is to have me behind this glass.
So the bullshit she pulled, Michelle, she's the one that did wrong, not him. He can't be held responsible for banging in her face. No. She was supposed to take it, you guys. Her job was to accept the correction. He's entitled to do this to her. You see the smiles, the charm, the glib bullshit. This monster for you. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't want to stand in line at a store behind this guy for fear that something would just rub him the wrong way and he would explode. Not weeping and crying afterwards, but laughing and chuckling about the horrific damage that he had done. Or stealing people's belongings and then running across state lines. That might also make me a little worried about him. All right, now I've got I really hope nobody here ever gets abused and people don't believe her. The women sticking up for him make me sick. Pamela, it's unforgivable, right? How do you look at that photograph, read the police reports, really wrap your head around the reality of him running intrastate to stay ahead of the law, a 3-year protection order? How do you hear all that and then say, well, Magnolia's done this before? No, hell no. Magnolia didn't do it before. It was Project Veritas. And I'm not even going to justify that bullshit with an explanation. Not even. Just like what happened with Kay Woodcock and Crescia, we heard police camera, body cam, where John Matthias, as a clinical psychologist, he's trying to make up charges against a woman that Lauren made mad because she didn't treat her nice. She mistreated her as an employee or friend or whatever you want to do it. And the girl wanted to tell the truth of what happened. And Lauren was terrified for the truth to get out. And so they were trying to concoct evidence against this young woman, a mother, to try to get her in trouble with the law so that their money didn't get messed with. Now, that is not the same thing as punching somebody in the face so badly that they have to have reconstructive surgery. Don't go say I said that. It isn't. But it is callous, isn't it? It is to have your own self-interest front and center, that you don't want your channel to get messed up. You don't want to lose any of your money. You know you behaved badly toward victims of a horrific set of crimes. Even Colby Ryan, the way he was treated. You don't want those people to find out, and therefore you are willing to sacrifice one of your ex-friends by having her put in jail. And John Matthias even went on to say maybe even 25 years in jail if they could come up with 5 different incidences. Those people weren't afraid of her. It was, I'm not going to make a decision based on ethics or morals. I'm going to make a decision based on how do we keep the money rolling in? How do we keep the YouTube coin flashing? Right? So I'm not saying that is the same thing as what's going on with Magnolia. Banging somebody's head in is not the same thing as trying to get them thrown in jail. But it makes me uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. All right. Now there's another video that we're going to watch here. So let me pull it up. Hey, Martin, good to see you. He seems to be really enjoying reliving the experience. Absolutely, Martin. 100%. He's enjoying reliving it. I would suspect that he was enjoying the horror that was on the face of the interviewer. I'm sure that he liked that too. Okay, now I want to share. There we go. This is a creator that I really didn't know. I really haven't seen her. And man, I like her. I like this channel, okay? Her name is Agatha May Detective Agency. There's only 8,000 subscribers. I'm hoping that you'll go over there and subscribe. When you see this video, you will, I'm sure. But wow, she's great. Okay, so let's take a look at her research. And let me make sure that we've got it up. Add to the stage. Show Poodles. How are you, Show Poodles? There are evil people in this world that walk among us. We walk past them in the grocery store, the bank, the doctor's office. I try to stay in my own bubble. Very informative. No, thank you, Show Poodles. It's good to see you, and I appreciate your kind words. Abusers do weird things. They will try to choke you out during intimacy and then not want to talk about it. The violence will happen. It gets blamed on you and made up. Oh, yeah. And it always escalates. If you forgive them, it's going to get worse. There is no answer. Once the violence comes, the only answer is to get out. That's all. Okay. And let's take a listen. I hope you guys will go over and subscribe to Agatha May Detective Agency. Tell her I love her work. I love her channel. I haven't seen her before, so I was just so grateful to run across this. But get ready to have your socks knocked off, okay? There's another part, there's another fact related to this story that I'm not going to talk about it because it doesn't have anything to do with JLR. I'm trying to keep this focused on the information, like intermittent explosive anger disorder, psychopathy, that kind of thing. But don't be surprised if you hear things that make your jaw hit the ground.
Back to the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about some stuff. Now, I've had people accuse me of going after Jonathan Lee Rich's JLR Investigates, and people are saying it's because I don't like him or I'm jealous because he has more followers than I do. Well, that's not true. I've known about his past for a long time, and I've never mentioned it. In fact, I don't think I've ever publicly mentioned him by name until I learned about the assault accusation made against him by his ex-girlfriend, Jamie Phillips.
Now, there are people who are posting like on Reddit and under these various videos and such, and they're terrified to talk because this is the most litigious bastard you will ever meet. So if you're going to use his name, if you're going to talk about the story, make sure that you have the receipts downloaded, printed out, so that if he comes knocking with his lawsuits, you'll be able to give all the receipts to your attorney and keep you, safe.
Also known as Magnolia. Now, I don't have a problem with anyone having something in their past. I had things in my past that I'm not proud of. And about 20 years ago, I got myself into what you might call a legal pickle. I was set up for something that I didn't do and had to pay the price for it. Now, at that time, my mental health was in the dumpster, and I mean at the bottom with all the sludge that had been building up for years and years. I was a complete mess. And I think now the charge was eventually dismissed. Always fought for the underdog. But when I was punched in the gut by someone I thought I could trust, it made me even more determined to not only fight for those wrongly accused, but also to fight for justice for those who never have received it. And let me say that outside of that pickle, the only other pickle I've been in was a speeding ticket way back when I was a teenager. People have started bringing up Jamie.
Okay. Now, this is the police report. One of the documents, there's tons of documents involving this, handwritten notes, things like that. But this is this has got the names of 5 of the responding officers, the main officer that was in charge of the investigation. It's all here. Okay. There's receipts, Bullhorn Betty. There's receipts. Okay. You need to make a public apology to every female on the planet from your bullshit. What did Magnolia do to make JLR hit her? It's incredible you said it.
Phillips passed. And as most of you probably know, Jamie Phillips is Magnolia, who is Jonathan Lee Rich's JLR Investigates ex-girlfriend, who filed assault charges against him back on Christmas Day of last year and has since filed for an order of protection. So people have started bringing up her past, mainly about the Project Veritas attempted sting that involved the accusations against Roy Moore. And this is when, while working for Project Veritas, she went to the Washington Post and claimed that Roy Moore had raped her when she was 15 and she became pregnant by him. And that attempted sting failed. The Washington Post knew she was lying, and she never publicly accused Roy Moore of assaulting her in any way.
Right there, that's it. All of you people coming out of Bullhorn Betty's channel or coming out of JLR's channel, you're slandering Magnolia. You're saying that she's got a lot of people in her past that she accused of domestic violence. That is a lie. The only people that you can name was the Project Veritas sting that she was working for Project Veritas to try to catch a guy who was a cretin. And then all the others you say, oh, and this other guy, this guy, these other guys, you're full of it. You're being manipulated. You're being manipulated by a scary person, in my opinion. There's no history with this woman. She was a producer with Project Veritas for years and years.
So because of those accusations against him, people are using it as a reason to accuse her of lying about this assault that allegedly happened back in December. They're also claiming that she's lied about other men, but oddly, they never attach any names to those other
Never.
claims, so they aren't verifiable. To James a large order of protection against
the receipts against JLR, the history of this man would be a pile of pages. She didn't have anything, nothing. He's got this pile. These people that are giving him a pass and they're saying obnoxious things like, what did she do to cause JLR to hit her? It is incredible. Now, this is a preliminary injunction. It was a temporary restraining order that was given, and this Jonathan Bollinger this was all JLR making up a lie against Jerry Sandusky, the football coach that was the great pedophile. This is one of those people that he sued that got him into the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most litigious person ever, right? So let me read it. Comes now the plaintiff facing imminent danger and bodily harm, moves this honorable court to issue an order for the defendant in this suit, Jerry Sandusky, to respond. Plaintiff is cousins with former Wisconsin Badgers quarterback Brooks Bollinger. On October 5th, 2002, I went to Camp Randall Stadium to watch my cousin play quarterback against the visiting Penn State Nittany Lions. This is JLR talking. He's the one that's making this accusation. He's saying that he's cousins with Brooks Bollinger. I mean, it's unreal. The lies this man, he can tell a lie. It's unbelievable. It's shocking, truly. So he says, I was approached by Jerry Sandusky, who said he was traveling with Penn State and asked me if I wanted a signed Joe Paterno autograph. And I told him to leave me alone because I was peeing. And Sandusky said to me, let me touch it, and reached into the urinal and grabbed my penis. This is JLR saying this, making this accusation. Further saying to me, let me make your sexual fantasies come true. I told him to stop molesting me, and I'm reporting him to the police. Sandusky then left, but gave me a fair warning. If you tell a soul I touched your penis, I will kill you, and then left. Then after the game, I told my cousin Brooks, head football coach Barry Alvarez, Brian White, and Kevin Cosgrove, who the coaching staff told me they are friends with Sandusky and won't help me. I have suffered emotional distress ever since. I fear Sandusky is going to kill me. I seek a restraining order. I don't know, Bullhorn Betty. Does that give you the warm fuzzies? You think that's normal? You think a normal person would do that? Official paperwork to the court to lie and get a restraining order against a prolific pedophile who was all over the news at the time. This is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Jonathan Riches, sorry.
Also known as wiretapping. How very dare I bring up something from that long ago, right? But haven't we brought up John Paul Miller's charges from 1998 and judged him on that? We have, and I think fairly so, because I also think John Paul Miller is a horrible person. In 2003, JLR was arrested and then convicted for defrauding people out of money, which landed him in 10 years of prison.
Look at the list of cases against this clown. Look at that. And then you fools want to say that Magnolia has done this before in the past. You women ask the question, what did Magnolia do to make JLR hit her? You want to know what she did? She opened his phone and saw where he had nasty pictures, sex talk, communications with other people, women, and he lost his shit because the mask was torn off, because she proved that he was a cheater. She proved to him, to his face, that she knew what he was doing, who he was messing around with on the side. She knew, and it was revealing. It was pulling the mask off of him, caused him to go into narcissistic collapse, allegedly. That's all she did wrong, was say, look, just like I've been saying, here's the proof that I'm not a liar. Here's the proof that what I've been saying is true. And he lost it. Look at the number of citations here. It's chilling to look at.
As a teenager in Dallas who fished the credit card details of AOL users and then sold that information to JLR, who then used that credit card information to buy a lot of stuff. He even had 7 accomplices in his scheme, including his parents. And then while in prison for that, he began his career as a lawsuit savant. He filed thousands of frivolous lawsuits and...
I'm going to go back here, right here. So he knowingly, intentionally devised a scheme to obtain money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, transmit or cause to be transmitted by means of wire communication of interstate commerce, writings to writ, fraudulently obtain credit account, basically credit cards, and his mommy and daddy were in on it with him. Weird, huh? Like we ask ourselves, how do people like grow up to act this way? Didn't they have somebody there that was telling them the right way to behave and not to exploit other people and to be honest? Apparently not. There was also conspiracy, fraud in connection with access devices, conspiracy to launder funds, another wire fraud, fraud in connection with access, another fraud, conspiracy, maximum penalty 5 years. That must have been related to his parents being a part of it. Total of 30 years in prison, $1 million fine. It's incredible.
Scheme, including his parents. And then while in prison for that, he began his career as a lawsuit savant. He filed thousands of frivolous lawsuits and never seemed to win any. He would later say that he did it because,
right
quote,
there, right?
I was just creating a
you guys
clusterfuck.
That was my him, and you think he's so amusing, and I mean, he's not amusing. He doesn't make anybody laugh. He just drives around the country and films crap that's going on. But not a single lawsuit won. Think about that. Remember when we talked so much about having grandiose ideas, believing that you're special, talking big like you have all these great special accomplishments when really you're nothing, like there's nothing been accomplished. Remember all that? But you guys go. You keep listening, just like they keep listening to Hidden True Crime. That no awareness about how victims of real crime were treated. None. No acknowledgement of that. No acknowledgement that there somewhere out in the world there's a woman who's had her face broken to a point that required reconstructive surgery, who has been financially abused. He basically stole, according to her story. I don't know this. I'm repeating her stuff, the police report. He wiped out their shared bank account. Ladies, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. You need your own money. It needs to be in a discrete account that no one has access to, mostly your husband. Be smart. We as women need to be independent so we can make good decisions. So that if we end up in a situation where somebody beats us, that we can get out and protect ourselves. Why are you commingling funds? Do you think that's love? Is that love to give someone who is not your husband, who's made no promises to be faithful or loyal? They're already being sexually unfaithful. Why do you think they're going to be financially, fiscally responsible or faithful? Fiscal abuse is a real thing. Just ask Suzanne Morphew, who had her entire inheritance stolen from her, basically. Your money has nothing to do with your love affair. Nothing. And you want to know something? If you're a man and you're in a relationship with a woman and you love her, go today and open up a bank account in her name where she's the only one that has access. Do that for her. Give her a gift. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Entertainment when I was in prison, end quote. One of the lawsuits was filed against the government for seizing the property that he'd purchased with the fake credit cards, and JLR thought they needed to give it back to him. They didn't. In 2012, he was still on parole from his 2003 conviction and violated that parole by leaving Pennsylvania without permission.
This is the Sandy Hook event where he's pretending to be related to Adam Lanza, and he kneels down and begins to cry because he could hear all the real journalists' cameras were clicking. This is your JLR, people. This is the man that broke Magnolia's face into bits. Sandy Hook, the most egregious thing imaginable. He's crying, kneeling down in front of the memorial for the news media to take his photograph. Does it bother you? Even a little bit, does that bother you? Somebody that would be capable of that kind of lie. It's chilling to me. It makes my blood run cold.
He left so he could travel to Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and pose as Adam Lanza's uncle. For those of you who don't remember, Adam Lanza was the shooter at Sandy Hook Elementary School. While there, JLR dropped to his knees at a memorial that had been set up for the victims of the shooting and prayed, or at least pretended to pray. A reporter saw him and asked who he was, and he tearfully said he was the uncle of Adam. And then he gave interviews posing as Adam's uncle.
Yes,
At the end of 2012, his wife at the time, Naomi, filed for a temporary restraining order against him. And this letter from Lieutenant John Frias in Chester County, Pennsylvania, was included in the petition. So let's read it. Quote,
again,
reference Naomi Riches.
More receipts, right? More receipts. the supporters of JLR are running around slandering Magnolia, saying that she's accused all these men. She's filed false police reports on men, blah, blah. None of it's true. None of it. And yet, those that are researching this, they have a mountain of paperwork related to literally hundreds of false filings, lies, claims, 3,000 lawsuits that were just bullshit. Jerry Sandusky molested JLR. That's what he said. He got a restraining order. Hey, Laura Mathias, JLR got a restraining order, a temporary restraining order, saying that Jerry Sandusky molested him in the urinals. Was it real, Lauren? No, it wasn't. It was a lie. Anyone can get a temporary.
I was contacted on 21 December 2012 by Naomi Riches, plaintiff in PFAs,
That
which
was
is a
his
protection
ex-wife.
order or protection from abuse. Naomi Riches said she had been 302 committed by Jonathan Riches, and she was in Fairmount Behavioral System. She said Jonathan claimed she ran into traffic in front of the Justice Center at 201 West Market Street, Westchester, Pennsylvania. She asked if there was any video of the Justice Center. I informed her yes, there was on the front of the Justice Center. Jonathan Riches' husband had filed a PFA against Naomi Riches' wife. The hearing was held on 17 of December 2012 in courtroom number 10 in the Chester County Justice Center at 0900 hours. Naomi said the alleged incident occurred after the hearing between 1000 and 1200 hours, 17 December 2012. She also asked for any reports the sheriff's office may have about the incident. I checked the video for that day between the hours reported. I did not find any incident that occurred in front of the Justice Center, 201 West Market Street, Westchester, Pennsylvania. And I checked the report system, Cody, and found there were no incident reports generated that day for any incidents either in the lobby or in front of the Justice Center. I have also learned that Naomi was present in the Justice Center and the PFA hearing was continued until 24 February 2013, as the Sheriff's Office paperwork shows that Jonathan Riches was not served a PFA, nor could I confirm at this time he was in the Justice Center. I have learned that Jonathan Riches also went to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and filed another PFA against Naomi Riches. Jonathan Riches has been arrested on violation of probation and parole from Chester County Adult Probation and Parole, and also federal charges are outstanding against him. Copies of PFAs and information have been supplied to detectives for additional charges against Jonathan Riches for harassment against Naomi Riches. Lieutenant John R. Frias, Director of Operations, Chester County Sheriff's Office.
So he lied. He requested temporary restraining order and everything. Had this woman, his wife, who was in the process, I think, of divorcing him, had her committed to 5150, basically, to a mental health facility, she had to prove it never happened. The story that he put on the request never happened. This is incredible.
Began trolling political rallies, but did it in kind of a super gross way, such as pretending to be a Muslim. He attended rallies for Donald Trump with a Muslims for Trump sign. But
I'm sorry. This is so disturbing. Look at the way he's looking at Bill Clinton. Look how he's looking at Hillary. And I have no doubt, or I mean, my opinion is he's doing that because of the photograph. Like he knows there's going to be somebody's going to take a picture. He may have a stick that he's taking the picture with. But he's thinking that's my thumbnail. All that he's doing, it's all to generate content. He's just trying to get movement online to make some money. He's a felon. He's not going to make any money any other way. So he's Muslims for Trump. He doesn't care. He's Muslim, and then he turns around and he's Jewish. There's no feeling in him that says, I'm going to be in real trouble if God is real, right? He doesn't have any of that feeling of might be sacrilegious. This is offensive to people that are Jewish, or this is offensive to Islam, or this is offensive to Christian. He simply lies. He doesn't care. He will lie about whatever he wants to get views. That's the name of the game. That's all it is. It's only views, 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 views. People that are subscribers, are you listening? He is an admitted liar, and the only reason he's doing it is to get your views. But you keep asking, what did Magnolia do to make him hit her?
Then he'd run off to a rally for Hillary Clinton, his sign now bearing the words Muslims for Clinton. And he would also pose as a Jew at rallies using the name Jonah Rich. In 2018, JLR was in trouble again with the federal government for impersonating Jared Lee Loughner and suing Gabby Giffords under that name. And he was awarded 5 years of probation for that charge.
Now remember, JLR, I don't think he has like a fascination with the school shooters or serial killers or anything like that. That's not what he's doing. He's just looking for the big story of the day. That's all. Nothing is sacred to him. He doesn't have like a pet social problem that he's committed to, that he cares about. No, he's just looking for what are the big stories right now, and then how can I make up a lie so that I can capitalize on people that are looking for that story. And he doesn't mind putting out disinformation. In fact, he does it on purpose. He knows that he's putting out disinformation. He doesn't care. He doesn't lie. He's not into these stories he's covering. He's only trying to get information, and he will lie. His own mouth says, I just lie. I lie, I make a Facebook group, I put it on BitChute, and then I get views. And I don't care if I'm lying. I don't care if I'm causing misinformation. I don't care if I'm creating arguments on social media. I don't care.
Being Jonah Rich, and how he came from a Jewish family who had ostracized him because he was supporting Donald Trump. And of course, none of that was true. And when asked if he thought of impersonating a Jewish person immediately after the shooting that happened at Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018, JLR said, quote, I'm just thinking of myself in the moment. With different rallies, I try to go with different themes. So I had that Jews for Trump shirt, and I had the yarmulke for a while. And it was just an opportunity to use it at that time. Just the luck that the tragedy happened. I'm like,
just the luck. The tragedy happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go run with the Jews for Trump because of the shooting at the synagogue. Let that sink in. All these people that are running around defending this clown, asking, what did Magnolia do to get hit, to make JLR hit her? Are you paying attention to these? Are his words from interviews. It's incredible that it's like subscribers don't have a soul. It's like you find your creator you like, you subscribe, and you don't care what horrific, egregious, antisocial, absolutely disgusting thing they do. You dig in, you defend them, you become a flying monkey, a sycophant. If you're going to stand by these creators that behave in such an egregious way, at least own it, right? At least say, look, I know that JLR is a liar. I know that he has a long history of beating women. I know that he's done these things, but I really like his content, so I'm going to keep watching him. At least do that instead of attacking a woman who had to have surgery, okay?
Okay, I'm going to run with the Jews for Trump because of the tragedy. I don't think about the long-term consequences as far as disinformation or offending anyone. End quote. I know a lot of you think, well, that's in his past again, but just the luck that the tragedy happened is so completely abhorrent to me. I don't know that I could ever get past that. In that same interview, he was asked if social media made it easier to troll, and JLR
Listen to this.
responded with, quote, I think the tools are available now that can be exploited, and it's easy to get that message spread. The disinformation that I want, I can put out there.
The disinformation I want. Are you guys listening? And those of you that have said, this is too dirty for me, I don't want any part of this, and you've left that channel, I get it. It's not standing up specifically, excuse me, I got a cough. It's not standing up for only Magnolia. It's standing up for any female, every female that has ever been terrorized in the middle of the night by the person that's supposed to protect them and love them. When you say, what did Magnolia do to cause JLR to hit her? And you're looking at a guy that has this kind of history. What's wrong with you? And you women that are staying with these abusers, 750% likelihood, increased likelihood that you will die at the hands of that abuser sometime in the future. It's a certainty. But if your man's beating the shit out of you, if your husband, your boyfriend is beating you up, by all means, stay if you got a death wish. But if you love yourself and you want to keep living for your children, start making a plan now, today. Start with a bank account that only you can access. Find an apartment in a completely different town, preferably state, and start getting it rented, making payments, get it furnished, have everything there you need to move in. And don't you leave that abuser until you have fully furnished your new living place, you have a funded bank account, and when you walk out that door, you don't take one stitch of clothing, nothing. You don't take a computer, you don't take a phone, you don't take anything that he could possibly recognize or track you with. You walk out, you walk into a new apartment with all new clothing. You wouldn't believe how many people will recognize you based on certain clothing items. You can do it. You can get out. And you can dial 211 in most states. I think it's every state. You can dial 211 in the middle of the night, and the police will help find you and your kids a place to stay overnight until you can get to safety. Do not take a phone with you. Take nothing, not even the same clothing.
Mass shooting, before they identify the shooter, I can set up 10 Twitter accounts looking like news sites and then create whoever I want as the shooter and then use the other news sites to retweet that. Vulnerable, gullible people will see that. They will think it's from a news site, and then they will copy it and tweet it out. Whenever there's disasters, I also set up Facebook groups and then just...
All of you subscribers, vulnerable, gullible people will believe my lies. He said it in an interview. you reckon, all of you subscribers, who do you think are the vulnerable, gullible people? A, Bullhorn Betty? Would you think that you are vulnerable and gullible? Must be. What did Magnolia do to make JLR hit her? Sounds pretty gullible to me.
Thousands flock into the groups. I encourage everyone to basically fight each other. I don't censor anything. End quote. Are people actually okay with someone who has done things like this? That they've manipulated information about a crime? This is so horrific to me.
It is.
And JLR also admitted that he created Facebook accounts so he could be anonymous. Quote, every single tragedy that's happened in this country since, I would say, 2015, I got a group set up in that topic. I can create fake Facebook accounts under people's names so I can be anonymous. If a mass shooting happens, I'll create a video real quick and put whoever I want to identify as the mass shooter.
And then he gets traction. He makes money off of lying, putting misinformation out on mass shootings. You guys don't care, do you? It's the most shocking thing I've ever seen.
Be a bloody political mess right now before the election again. It's going to be tense, man. And it depends on what Trump trolls around and tries to excite everybody with. I just know whatever's going on, I'm going to be trolling. Whatever breaking news, you can expect me to troll it. End quote.
Wild.
So if we take all of these statements together,
Wild.
we see someone openly describing a pattern of behavior built around exploiting chaos.
Yep.
Tragedies, mass shootings, political tension, breaking news, none of it seems to be off limits. Horrific events that have forever altered the lives of our fellow humans are fair game to manipulate. And not just manipulate. The events are treated as opportunities to create false narratives, impersonate sources, and spread misinformation at the exact moment people are most vulnerable and searching for the truth. And why would anyone do that? Because they get some kind of sick enjoyment out of it? It's not accidental, it's not harmless. It's deliberate and calculated, and it has real-world consequences for real people. Now, I don't think this type of moral turpitude is the same as him suing a bunch of people to keep himself entertained in prison, which was bad enough. To me, this is a level of depravity that I would hope that people wouldn't want to support. So, does JLR actually care about the cases he races to? Does it matter to him if John Paul Miller is ever brought to justice? Does it matter if Nancy Guthrie's ever found? Or is he still sticking with this statement that whatever breaking news, you can expect me to troll it? And now the question is,
all right, now then. So you've heard me say multiple times as we've talked today, what in the world makes people stand by these creators? Why are they defending JLR or trying to put an innocent woman in jail, making up assault charges against her? Why do they do it? Well, look, there's a lot of people that will stay in like an abusive relationship, which just makes this worse. You're grooming up a murderer if you're staying in a relationship with someone who's beating you up and then you accept their apology and stick around. You're training them to be more callous and more cruel and more lethal. So some people will say that they stick around in those relationships because they just have fear. They just don't want to leave. I might extrapolate that to YouTube. I know it sounds weird, but how many people have I seen that have said, I thought about covering the JLR Magnolia story, but I decided not to because he sues everyone. Is that fear? Is that him using egregious behavior to control others? Abusers will often escalate their dangerous behavior when someone speaks out. Most people are terrified of retaliation. Is that why nobody, none of the big creators are covering the story? I don't know. Why are the subs sticking around and accepting it? I have no idea, but maybe there's some fear. Or it could be something that's called trauma bonding, which is just a little catchy term for emotional dependency. Abusers they alternate like between cruelty or pain with affection. And so abusers, the worst kind of abusers, also use love bombing. And when you are the subject of love bombing, it feels really good. This bouncing back and forth between the love bombing and the abuse creates this intense psychological bond. And you've heard some of these creators that are talking about the story, they've used the term Stockholm syndrome, and that's basically what's happening. It is the trauma bond that has been given the name Stockholm syndrome to describe why it is that people that have been so badly treated sort of choose to stick around rather than making their getaway and getting out when they can. They're hungry for that validation that comes with love bombing. And they're also scared that if they do leave and they're unsuccessful, then there will be hell to pay. At the heart of both the love bombing addiction as well as the fear of retribution is low self-esteem and gaslighting, right? If you have low self-esteem, if you don't have faith in your ability to change your outcome, your circumstances, if you believe that no one will ever love you again, that might keep you tied in that abusive relationship. Or if there's a lot of financial benefit to the relationship. I know a lot of people that are in relationships where the man makes a lot of money, they're living in a gated community, driving a BMW. They find out the husband is screwing around, having affairs, and the mother makes a decision to stay because she doesn't want to uproot her kids from their school. She knows that if she divorces him, she's going to be stuck in a crappy little apartment when right now she's in a gated community in a little McMansion feeling good. And so there's a lot of women that sacrifice and stay in the situation so that she and the children can maintain their lifestyle. So low self-esteem, the belief that you don't have the ability to make it on your own or that nobody will ever love you again. Some people can even fall prey or victim to gaslighting where they've been told, maybe even by parents first, and then that makes it easy for abusers. Maybe they're told they're no good and that they don't deserve to have a happy life, or there's no way they'll ever be able to get educated to make a good salary. That's one of the reasons why when we're raising our children, we need to raise them with love, and we need to raise them to be really like confident in themselves. Teach them that they may have to put in hard work, but they can be successful at whatever they're trying to achieve. And that way, if somebody is raised in such a way that they do have good self-esteem, they do have high self-efficacy, then they won't be looking toward a man to bring them financial riches. They'll be able to say, well, I want to go to medical school so that I can make a nice living, or I want to become a teacher so I can enjoy my life and enjoy my job. Another reason that people may stick around for the abuse, maybe they grew up with it. Maybe abuse is normal to them because of the way they grew up in their home. They stayed with a mom and dad who fought all the time. Maybe there was even battery. And they just think this is what marriage is. This is what a relationship is. A man who doesn't get jealous and knock you around is a man who doesn't love you. I've actually been told that. by a person. So we can't forget, some people will not take a stand against this bad behavior. They're just a subscriber. They hear these stories and they say, it's not a big deal. It happens in every relationship. Every relationship, there's going to be some, slapping people around. And what in the world did Magnolia do anyway to make JLR hit her? I mean, she had to have done something to him, right? That's normalizing. That's someone who just grew up with it and they think every relationship is like that. And then, there are those poor, unfortunate souls who just tell themselves, well, I have to love them. I have to forgive them. And through my forgiveness and my deep love, my abuser will finally decide to change and do what he needs to change. Silly, right? But people do believe that. So parasocial attachment is real, and we do see that with subscribers or TikTok accounts and that kind of thing, where fans or subscribers, they're forming a one-sided relationship with the creators that to them, it feels like they're friends, or it feels like they're talking to someone that is famous, right? I remember the first time somebody asked me to sing happy birthday to their little child. And I thought it was so cute, right? Like I could imagine, here's this kid seeing this woman's face on YouTube and thinking, wow, that's a YouTuber singing happy birthday to me. I thought it was really, really cute, and it is. But what if that person who starts feeling overly attached, like they know you, what if they're like 45 years old, incel, living alone, not have any friends? Then things could get a little difficult, right? For everybody involved. I had an incident with a subscriber that got very confused and thought I was her mother. So it got very weird for a while there, and thankfully that's over. But it got very strange. And so here's another problem with the parasocial attachment. You see us talking, right? We do a lot of talking, blah, blah, blah. And you see us, but we never see you. Unless we do other types of social media and small group get-togethers and stuff. So we don't ever really see you. And so that dynamic makes it really easy to watch your favorite creator and you sort of project onto them, oh, this is such a nice person. I wish that we could be friends in real life. And you begin projecting onto them those traits and beliefs that you value. But if you were to actually stop and have a conversation with that creator, you might walk away going, wow, she is stuck up. What a bitch. When you get feedback, then that alters how you look at them. When we're looking at celebrities, I'm not saying YouTube creators are celebrities, but it's that same dynamic where you're watching them, you're listening to them, but they're not actually talking back to you, right? When it's a one-way line of communication, that makes it really, really, really easy to project onto them those things that you value and that you care about. The reality is, relationships take a very long time to form, and it requires mutual exchange, reciprocal communication, right? You think about how many people in your life you met and you're like, oh my God, he's so handsome or she's so beautiful. And you start dating and you say, oh, this is going to be my person forever. I'm so in love. This is so great. And then you start really finding out who they are, right? Little off the cuff comments that they'll make. They kind of make you go, ooh, that was uncomfortable. I didn't like that. So maybe it's that parasocial attachment problem that causes subscribers. I'm a subscriber to channels. I'm including myself as subscriber. Causes you to have a favorite creator, and then you find out that they're actually pretty horrible people, like talking crap about crime victims, for example. And it's too uncomfortable to believe that they're actually doing what you've just now seen. And so you make excuses for them. To have to leave that person to stand up for your morality, you would lose something that you really value. And that's the friend group. All the people inside chat become our friends. And we get really used to being with that group, listening to that creator, and it feels like home. It feels like it's where you belong. So when you're confronted with these situations, like what happened with Hidden True Crime, what's going on with JLR, we don't, number one, we find it hard to believe that it's true, because this is someone we've now idealized, right? We've projected our own likes and desires onto them, and they're doing it perfectly. I mean, people all over the world fell in love with Dr. John. Oh my God, she's so lucky to have him as a husband. Look how romantic they are. He's the perfect man. But they totally overlook a whole lot of things, like he actively tried to put an innocent woman in jail on trumped up charges because he wanted to keep the YouTube money rolling in. They can't accept that because a perfect man wouldn't do that, right? It does create cognitive dissonance when you have a group like Hidden True Crime. You really like them. You like their coverage. You like what they're doing. Same thing with JLR. You like the work they're doing. You like to spend time in that channel. And then something pops up like, yeah, he beat the shit out of his live-in girlfriend. They're buying a house together. Like this was a committed relationship. Cognitive dissonance. We have invested so much emotion and time into our favorite creator. We feel like we belong there. We kind of feel like in a way they're our friends. But then it comes out that the way they're behaving doesn't match at all the person that we've dreamed them up to be. And you get cognitive dissonance. You feel very uncomfortable. So it's easier to minimize the bad news. It's easier to minimize or blame the victim. What did Magnolia do to make JLR hit her? That's minimizing. That's blaming the victim, minimizing what the provoker or the person did. Okay. And then, of course, there's the never-ending misogynistic narrative that runs through the fabric of our society. There's some common myths. She must have done something to cause the abuse. She got out of hand. She is exaggerating what he did. That's just misogynistic bullshit. That's all it is. Same victim blaming stuff. I do think for YouTube, tribalism is a huge problem. The fan bases act like professional ball teams, fans or tribal community. If our fearless leader, our favorite creator gets criticized, we feel the betrayal. We feel like if our creator's being criticized, we feel like we are being criticized. And so we're sort of locked into defending JLR. We can't stand down and let him defend himself. We have to be the sycophant. We have to be the flying monkey. Otherwise, we have to believe about ourselves that we supported someone who behaved like a monster. according to police reports. And then here's JLR's claim to fame: misinformation. People can be liars. They can edit clips in a way that make Magnolia look really bad. They can change JLR's words around. They can change a digit on a date to make it seem like, hey, the day of the assault, she didn't have any bruises on her, and that was all a lie. That's more bullshit put out. Misinformation that we just listened to JLR brag about. That is the tool of his trade, his ability to lie. He doesn't care if he lies. There was a YouTuber, Kid Capri Taylor. He was arrested last year assaulting his girlfriend. It was on video. It was on video. And yet his subscribers, no, they didn't believe it. They stood by him. They wanted to defend him. They were minimizing the assault. They were blaming the girl. It's all there. I would hope that for me, my choices, I would hope that I would be able to have a backbone. I would hope when these things happen that are real, I think it is horrible that a licensed psychologist tried to have a girl put in jail for bullshit charges, and he knew it was bullshit when he was talking to that cop. I think it's egregious. And I think when you say, I stand by victims, I think you should do it for your own mental health. I don't think you minimize and overlook it. Oh, they're just being mean to Lauren and John. Why? Why would anybody just want to be mean to them? Same way with JLR. Why would anybody just jump up overnight and decide, oh, let's give JLR a hard time? For those women who have been battered, those women that know the nightmare of being choked out and then wake up 5 hours later, for those women, that's who you stand up with, because they're lucky to be alive. And we got the people like Suzanne, Shanann, they didn't make it out alive. And you are at a 750% chance of being killed by that same abuser sometime in the future if he chokes you. That's why you stand up. That's why you speak out. And you know what? You'll find a new YouTube channel. You'll find new friends. I did. I still see people over there in Brittany J's channel, and I wonder, why do y'all just, like, you can't even see her? And they don't. They just keep throwing money and supporting her, and it's terrifying, the result of that. But people do it, and we are creatures of comfort. We don't want to be put out. We don't want to be uncomfortable, and we do not want to admit that a person that we have been following and supporting for years may be our own worst nightmare. You know what I mean? All right. I did see them, no cult. I did. Pretty strange. Pretty strange. All right. You guys are so awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me in the middle of the afternoon. I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to do this last night when it was originally scheduled. Please don't forget. I want you to go over and subscribe. She did such a great job. All of her videos are like that. They're all perfect. Do you think Magnolia is in more danger now that this has come out publicly, or was she in more danger when nobody knew? She's definitely in more danger when no one knew. Definitely. No doubt about it. Because it was during that time period that the threats of violence could be used to try to, because the whole point was, don't talk. I don't want anybody to know what happened. Just like John Matthias didn't want anyone to talk about what was Lauren had said related to Charles Fallow's family. So it's always to control them, right? At this point now, she's out of his grasp. He knows that, and he knows that you can't unring a bell. So that is it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Agatha May Detective Agency. Oh my gosh, you are going to love every one of her videos. Every one. She's amazing. Please subscribe. Please give her the thumbs up. We did not watch this whole video that she did, so you probably will want to go and watch from start to finish. And let her know that I sent y'all over there. I think she is wonderful. His flying monkeys will do things he is not even aware of. Yeah, totally, Cinnamon. Yep, I lived it. I know. And not with JLR's flying monkeys, but another person. But yeah, now that it's out, people are talking about it, she is safer. Yep. He has to he's got to be careful now, which is good. And JLR, you should be careful, because the reality is, people don't set out to say, hey, I'm going to kill my wife or my girlfriend. Nobody wants to spend the rest of their lives in prison. It happens in a fit of rage, anger. So this could be a wake-up call for you, JLR, to just do what you need to do and get everything under control, and don't let this anger destroy your life. It shouldn't destroy anybody's lives. Everybody should be careful and treat their lives with respect, in my opinion. All right. Okay. So, again, everything I said, was said with receipts. There is no diagnosing anyone, just simply a discussion about what might have been going on: intermittent explosive anger disorder, some kind of psychopathy. That it could be a lot of different things, and I already covered all that. So, but what is important is that Magnolia is safe, and there is now opportunity for people to get treatment for out of control anger and keep things on the straight and narrow. Barry asked Suzanne if she was discussing the marriage with friends and family. What do you think that meant, right, Martin? He was trying to find out, have you told people what I'm doing to you, terrorizing you and controlling you with fear? Yeah, I don't want to be anybody's flying monkey. No, that's to be someone's flying monkey. You're just admitting that you don't have a life of your own that you value, so. All right, everybody, this has been much longer than I wanted it to be, but you guys are very kind. I appreciate you being here. I hope you will hit the thumbs up, and I hope you will hit the subscribe button. And there is so much that is happening in the world right now, that I'm going to try really, really hard, probably Thursday, to put another video out. So thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you Thursday.
Woke up at dawn with the pelicans in flight. Coffee brewing strong by dawn's early light. Waves whisper secrets to my open heart. The life around this water gets me off to a great start. Parrots wild, squawking loud in the old palm tree. Dolphin smiles, brighter than the Texas sun on me. We chase simple dreams, nothing fancy or grand, just honest days in this promised land. God gives rainbow horizons to those in this happy lane. Diamonds dancing on the waves, back sparkling again. Honest living, a pursuit of peace, from the heart. No deceptions woven, no false starts. It goes like a front porch swaying in the ocean breeze, watching the sunset fade away with pink and blue ease. Teach the young ones right from wrong with care. Hold them close when the world's unfair. In this Gulf Coast life, we find our way, building memories that never stray. Oh, rainbow horizons after the rain, diamonds dancing on the waves back again. Honest living in pursuit of peace, family ties and the happiness we see. Love for God and country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials, we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. Rainbow horizons calling to me. When the night falls quiet and stars shine bright, I thank the Lord for this humble light, for the flag that waves and the grace from above, filling our hearts with endless love. No riches compared to the